Everybody, welcome back to Wicked Good Sports. I'm your host, Brian Martin. I'm joined today by our resident hockey expert, a man who's going to tell us about all the fisticuffs that are going down in the NHL and why they're happening, Mr. Chris Uminski. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing really well. So hockey's back. I think we can all say that while this may not be a good thing, it's definitely got people talking. So can you shine some light on this Tom Wilson situation and why there are fights and pictures of crowded penalty boxes and what is happening? What is going on?
All right. So to tell the story from the beginning, so for some context, I have nothing against fighting in hockey. I think fighting is good for hockey. It adds another exciting level to the sport. I want to preface with that.
Okay.
So Tom Wilson is a notorious instigator with the Washington Capitals. He goes around, he tries to make people mad, he fights them. He's a very physical player, but that has gotten him into some trouble. A couple of years ago, he was just earlier this season, he was suspended for a hit to the head on the Bruins. Brandon Carlo, he's suspended for 7 games, and he's only just come back from that suspension.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of years before that, he was suspended 22 games during the preseason for a hit on the head.
Okay.
So Tom Wilson he has a history.
Okay.
So the other night when the Capitals met the New York Rangers for a game. Trying to think of how this all started. So Tom Wilson is by the Rangers net with Pavel Buchnevich, who is a player for the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts when Wilson cross checks with his stick Buchnevich in the back of the neck.
Okay,
you can't do that. That's
the rules.
No. That's how somebody gets seriously injured.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the ground.
Right.
And then he's now on the ground. Wilson grabs him, pulls him up, starts punching him in the face. Then grabs his hair, pulls him down.
Jesus.
And is now being held on the ground with his stick.
Mm-hmm.
So then Artemi Panarin, who is another player for the Rangers, starts throwing some punches at Tom Wilson. Wilson then grabs him by the head, throws him down on the ice, and while he's down, starts punching him in the head.
Right.
And that's the incident. I don't know if my description really does it justice. But
yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out so you can get the full context, because it's a very violent, even for hockey standards, a very violent interaction.
So Wilson gets a roughing penalty, and is sent to the box for 5 minutes.
Right.
And then so when a 5-minute penalty is assessed, the league is supposed to take a look at the hit and decide what the proper discipline will be. This is where all the drama really starts, is with the discipline portion.
Mm-hmm.
So the league takes a look at it, and everyone is saying Tom Wilson is going to get at least 1 game.
Right.
At least a 1-game suspension. He's a repeat offender. He has a history. He just came back from a suspension, and he's already hurting players.
Right.
Panarin, from his injuries, was unable to come back for the rest of the game. So the league comes back with their decision. He is fined $500,000.
Okay.
And that's it.
But he doesn't get suspended at all.
No suspension, and the $500,000 fine, or was it $500,000 or $50,000? It was a low fine, and it is the maximum allowed by the collective bargaining agreement that the league has with the Players Association.
Okay.
But that shouldn't bar them from being able to suspend him. He should have been suspended.
Right.
So the Rangers put out a statement on Twitter the next day,
Mhm.
basically saying that the head of player safety, his name is George Paros, is unfit for the job.
Right.
Unfit for his job as the head of player safety.
Mhm.
That night, the Rangers and the Capitals played each other for the first time after this, and my God, it is probably one of the best hockey games I have ever watched.
Yeah, so
There
take
were
us through
six
that a little bit. I mean, the video
six
that was
fights.
going around was puck drop, fists are out right away.
Yes, and this is before Tom Wilson had even taken the ice. He ended up getting into a fight and getting hurt and taken out with an upper body injury. I think they just wanted to get him off the ice for his own safety.
Right, yeah, because he's a marked man at this point.
And as a result of all that, so the Rangers were fined $250,000 for their statement against George Paros by the league.
Okay.
They weren't happy with them bashing a league exec.
Mm.
And I have notes.
This is good. You prepared. I like it.
Yes. So Pavel Buchnevich, who was one of Wilson's targets from the last game, he's suspended for one game after this game last night.
So
cross-checking
he gets
a
suspended.
Capitals player.
Right.
He got suspended, but Tom Wilson is still allowed to play. Everyone thought he should have been suspended for the entire Capitals playoff run.
Right.
So that's that.
So yeah, like I said, it was as a casual hockey guy, it was a very interesting moment to be privy to see a game immediately starting with people just fighting. That's exciting, I think, personally.
Yes.
I don't want to.
Those are the best games.
Yeah, I don't want to like misrepresent it, but there is something alluring about hockey and the fact that they let them fight each other. It's
all these. There are unwritten rules that have written rules attached to them.
Right.
Which is unique for really any sport.
Yeah.
They take these things into account.
You're not really going to fight in any other sport. Except for baseball, but that's like shoving, usually. It's not really like it's not a real fight. You don't have knives on your feet in baseball. Let's put it that way. But, yeah, no, this is a very interesting situation. I think, honestly, like, yeah, it's bad for the Rangers players who got injured. It looks bad, I guess, for the league for not suspending him, but I think it's kind of a net positive.
I have something with that. I just verified some of my information. Turns out I overstated the fine. The fine was $5,000.
Okay,
not
so
$500, not $50, $5,000.
So Tom Wilson gets a $5,000 fine, and the Rangers are like, kind of seems like bullshit, and they get fined $250,000 for that.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. How do you feel about that?
I've thought that NHL player safety has been a joke for years.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the first time that they've bungled one of these things. And I'm sure it will not be the last. A lot of it, I feel, has to do with the way that the Washington Capitals are viewed by the league. They're one of the top teams in the league. They're certainly the best American team at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean they just won the finals a couple years ago.
They draw a lot of fans, and they have legends like Alex Ovechkin playing for them. They're a well-funded team. There's a great fan base down in Washington. And I feel like the league is sort of coddling them because they don't want to upset that important fan base. But something that they ignored is that the New York Rangers, who are the victims in all of this, are the most profitable team in the league. And have the highest payroll.
Right.
So, but the problem is that they're not as good, so the league isn't as interested in them.
That makes sense. So, all this aside, like I said, I think this is good for hockey as a sport because it gets people talking about hockey. I feel like people forget. I feel like people forget about hockey, and especially the playoffs in hockey are like the best.
Yeah, especially in areas like the Midwest and the South, where kids didn't grow up playing hockey in Georgia or North Carolina.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Like it's not looked at
definitely.
the same way as it is in like New England or Minnesota or Michigan or places like that where hockey has a
Mhm.
very strong is a is an important part of the culture.
Right. Yeah, so I think this is good. I think in heading into the playoffs, get some heat going. Maybe you could turn this into a net positive. But speaking of the playoffs, we want to get into you're wearing the gear. The Boston Bruins have
Yes, sir.
clinched. So tell me about how they're doing right now as we transition. Unless there's anything else you want to add to that topic.
So at this moment, the Bruins are actually playing their last regular season game against the New York Rangers, and they are. Last I checked, they were winning 2-0.
All right. Hey.
So they're looking very strong going into the playoffs. They're going to be playing the Washington. They're going to be playing the Washington Capitals. That's
Mhm.
already decided. We've got momentum on our side right now. The Capitals kind of have some negative juju going on with them,
Right.
um, which is which is going to be a distraction for them. And the Bruins
Mhm.
can come in there and take advantage of that. Taylor Hall and David Krejci are a match made in heaven on the second line. They're always putting up points together. The first line, Brad Marchand, is looking great. Patrice Bergeron is looking great. Pasternak is looking great. The only real drama that's going on right now is with the goalie situation.
Okay. Tell me about
We
that.
already know that Tuukka Rask is going to be the starter going forward
Mhm.
for for the goalies. But now the fight is going to be over that number 2 spot. Yaroslav Halak, who's held that for so long, his job is in danger right now. He played the other night, took a very rough last shot in the overtime.
Mhm.
He was not happy about that. He didn't play a great game. He just came
Mhm.
back from a month of COVID protocol.
Right.
He's looking a little rusty. While on the other hand, this rookie Jeremy Swayman out of UMaine has been dominant, and they're already calling him one of the best upstart goalies
Mhm.
in the league. And so right now there's a question: who's gonna be the backup for the playoffs? Is it gonna be Halak or is it gonna be Swayman?
Mhm.
And Halak knows that his job is in danger. Swayman, I think, is ready
Right.
to take it on. Yeah, going into the playoff, I'm optimistic about the playoffs this year.
Do you think being from the University of Maine, does he have a lot of like the Boston fans behind him? You know, I mean,
Yes.
New England people are very loyal to people from like the area who people went to college. I feel so. I feel like him going to University of Maine is a big thing for him in terms of fan support. Is that accurate to say?
It was very exciting for people. I actually know some people who went to UMaine with him
Mm,
and had the opportunity to know Jeremy Swayman. They were all very excited when he got drafted by the Boston Bruins.
yeah, dream come true.
Like that's every kid who grows up in New England wants to grow up to play for the Red Sox, play for the Patriots, play for the
Mm,
Blue, play for the Bruins, play for the Celtics. Like we love our hometown teams here, so
right.
it's huge when we can see one of our kids grow up and do that.
Mm. So yeah, I think that's gonna be. It's tough. It's tough because the old adage is you never lose your job because of injury, but we know that's not true. And while he
Yeah,
was out for COVID, well, people in New England know that's not true more than most, considering Bledsoe kind of lost his job due to an injury way back when. But
right.
yeah, no, I think it's a tough situation for him. But hey, I mean, you gotta do what's best for the team, and if you gotta ride the hot hand, especially at a position like goalie, where kind of important, I would say. A
Yeah.
little bit, especially in the playoffs. You got to do what you got to do. So, is there anything? Are you at all concerned that Tom Wilson is going to be on that ice against the Bruins in the playoffs?
I'm more concerned that nobody's gonna do anything about him on
Mm,
the ice. I'd like to see. I'm not condoning violence, but I wouldn't hate it if somebody roughed him up a little bit during
hmm
during the games. Brad Marchand, I'm sure, will get under his skin.
Yeah, I would say pretty likely. The other big storyline of this series would be Chara. our boy for so many years is coming back to Boston, but as an adversary now. How
Yes.
what's the feel on that? How's Chara, one? How's he doing in Washington, and two, can you kind of track the feelings people may have of this series because of that?
Well, Chara's doing great with the Capitals. That's a great fit for him. It's where he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I will all there's always going to be a special place in my heart for
Of
Zdeno
course.
Chara. He's been such an important part of the Bruins for the last I don't even know how long as I can
Right.
remember.
Mm.
Big Z we call him. He will get a warm reception coming back, even as an adversary.
Mm.
We don't do guilt by association.
Right.
Um, I actually like Zdeno Chara being on that team because maybe he's somebody that can get through to Tom Wilson, who's still young. There's still time for him to turn over a new leaf.
Right. Yeah. So I guess the only question left is what's your prediction for the series?
I think it's going to be a tough series. The Capitals are the number one seed going in. They're an obvious favorite. Like I said, the Bruins have momentum on their side. They've really first and second lines have definitely got it figured out. And if they can take advantage of some of the problems that the Capitals are having, controlling their own players, staying out of the penalty box, and weak holes in that their defense sometimes has. If they can take advantage of that, then I think that we can hold our own and make it a competitive series.
All right. So I guess, what do you think? Who's going to come out on top in how many games? What's your call?
You know what? I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say the Bruins will do it in 3.
All right. You heard it here first. Bruins in 3. Let's hope that's the case. And let's hope we got a long playoff run ahead of us. I mean, we'll still be talking about the playoffs even if the Bruins get knocked out. But, it'd be nice to talk about the Bruins for a while going on here. Because like I said at the top, I think hockey has just probably the best playoffs in all the major sports,
There's nothing like playoff hockey.
Yeah, so we'll all be watching, of course. Chris, is there anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
I guess the last bit of exciting news for the NHL is that there's a brand new team operational starting this week.
Okay, I forgot about this.
Seattle Kraken are
I
officially
like the
in
name.
the NHL now. They made their final payment. They can sign players, make trades, do all that good stuff leading up to their expansion draft this summer.
All right, so we'll definitely be talking more about that in the future, especially as signings and the expansion draft goes. Hey, good for Seattle. Seattle's a great city, having been, and I think they will appreciate having a hockey team there. The Kraken is a fucking great name for a hockey team, I have to say. So looking forward to them, getting everything going and see. I think hey, we just had the Vegas Knights join the league, and that was a really big success. I mean,
I love the Knights
in the finals, and they're in Vegas. Vegas is, it's really going right now with them and the Raiders there now. So I think once stuff opens back up and once COVID, allows people to actually go and see, I think we'll, be in a good place for Vegas sports. So yeah, just an exciting time for the NHL in general.
Yes.
All right, Chris, where can they find you online?
So you can find me on Twitter. I'm Chris_Uminski. And I post a lot of hockey news there and some other stuff. And if you're into a more casual experience, I am on Facebook.
All right, go check him out there. Of course, Brian Marr. You can find me on Twitter at @FakeMeMarr. This channel is Wicked Good Sports. The main channel is youtube.com/WickedGoodEverything. We also have a podcast channel, youtube.com/BetterRadio. Follow the channal on Twitter at WickedEverything, on Instagram Wicked Everything, and Twitch at twitch.tv/WickedEverything, and on TikTok, check us out there. So search Wicked Good Everything. It's always so long-winded at the end of these, Chris. I'm always like, I don't want to forget, but also I don't want to take 5 minutes. But hey, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, go Bruins.
Go Bruins.
Hey, thanks so much for watching that clip. If you liked it, hey, maybe subscribe. here on Wicked Good Sports, where we have a lot of videos, a lot of sports talk coming real soon. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe check out our podcasting channel, Better Radio, or our main channel, youtube.com/WickedGoodEverything. This channel is, of course, Wicked Good Sports. You can find us on Twitter at WGEverything, on Instagram at Wicked Good Everything, on Twitch at twitch.tv/WickedGoodEverything, and on TikTok, search Wicked Good Everything. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.